Okay, welcome, Saundra. We are here to ask a few questions and hopefully get some answers from you.
Right.
So these questions, Seth answered the same ones.
Okay.
So you can answer them however you feel like for you personally, and then also for you as a woman, as a wife.
Okay.
Okay, so 3 questions. They're going to be really hard. Just kidding. They're not. Okay, first question. When you're in the thick of tough times, what is your go-to? Your go-to coping mechanism or response to help get through the tough times? What's your go-to strategy?
Okay. Well, I'm thinking about this in 2 ways. I'm thinking, on the one hand, there's a negative coping mechanism and there's a positive coping mechanism. So my negative one is to get super annoyed and frustrated and feel like, how many times have we gone over this? Often. Or my other one is feeling like I'm not being heard, feeling like I'm not being paid attention to or listened to. So when I experience that, generally I kind of like go off by myself, and that's twofold. One, I want to leave so that I don't say a lot of things that I might have to apologize for later. Inevitably, I'm going to have to apologize anyway, but I'm not trying to apologize like stacks of things that I did wrong. So I try to like isolate myself a little bit for a moment just to go away and vent. Often I like to get in my car and just like, I can't believe that. And just, if my car had a microphone, it would be hilarious, probably, but also terrible. So I try to get in my car and I just try to like vent, and I pretend like Jesus is sitting in the passenger seat so that I can just vent to him and unload it all. And in doing that, that leads into that positive coping mechanism of unloading with him, because that way I'm not hurting anyone. And then also asking him, what do I do? Like, how can I resolve this? How can I work with this? How can I make this better? Try to get some sort of encouragement and answers from him. So generally that's kind of my go-to. And if it's not in my car or my room, whatever, but just a quiet space where I can unload. That's kind of my default.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
That is me personally, and I personally do that because I think it's a good idea for everybody.
Okay. All right. So you're not saying this works for me. Something else, I mean, other things might work for others, but and also you should do this thing that I do.
Yes. And you can do it in different ways. You know, some people I say, well, go journal, go talk, go. But the point for me, like the reason I do that is because I do think that is the healthiest way to cope with things is go to the Father, right? Like and I do think that's for everybody across the board. Like, we should be, that's what he's there for. He's there for relationships. So we should be running to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When you're in the thick of those hard times, what is your go-to, do this?
Now I sorry, but I have to caveat this with realizing that different couples, so they're made up of different people, so they might need to do this different. But for Saundra and I specifically, so when you're in the thick of it, what's a go-to? One of the things about me is I benefit from a little bit of time to process things. So it's good for me if something happens. Because we're speaking a little vague here, so it's hard to be specific in my answer. But
sure.
if something happens that puts us at odds somehow, it's normally very good for me to have, and I'm not talking weeks. I mean, I'm talking even hours, certainly not more than a day, to pull away and figure out what's going on for me, myself. And that is typically not because I need to figure out my attack approach. It's not that. It's I need to figure out what emotions am I experiencing? What am I thinking here? What is going on? So that I can then go back and in any kind of an emotionally intelligent way, express to her, what's, here's what was going on, and here's how I see it, or make corrections or whatever. But I need that sort time.
Yeah.
I would say that is a typical go-to.
For clarity. You need to have clarity before you can.
Yeah, because if I don't gain that clarity, then you're just going to keep going around the same thing. You can't get off that path that maybe isn't a good one to be on until you gain some of that clarity.
Okay. Yeah.
Now I would, my perspective would be then that for Saundra, that she has learned to work with that. But my guess is that it has been a bit of a frustration point because she doesn't need that time. She's in touch. She knows what is happening emotionally. And so giving me that room maybe has been a little bit of a challenge spot.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. All right. Second question. This one is funny for you guys specifically. But how do you have fun? How do you continue having fun in your marriage after 36 years?
That is interesting and funny for us. I love fun, but my kind of fun is, the other day I went tubing down the river. Like, that's super fun. Going and dancing, and not like swing country. Like, I love line dancing. I don't know how to swing dance. I don't know how to ballroom dance, none of it. So when I go dance, I'm one of those, that just looks like a goofball. But I love going out there, moving my body, trying to dance like other people are dancing. So for me, fun is very like out there doing social things, fun things like that, going to, I don't know, like just places where there's activity, live music, that kind of thing. And Seth's idea of fun is a hike, working in the yard. Like, what? No. So it's difficult because we don't connect on the same points of fun. Like, he has an entirely different set of fun. Sit at home and watch TV some evening, whatever. I'm just, So how do we keep doing fun things? I don't. I feel like we don't. If I'm going to do something fun. Now, I could get him to go float the river with me. So that would be great. But even that, like, his personality is just, he and I are opposites, which his personality is enough different that even going and floating the river is just, it's enjoyable, but I wouldn't say it's fun. Whereas like when I'm floating the river with some of my girlfriends, like, they're just noisy and loud and hilarious, and we fall in the river. And anyway, so I think our fun is, to me, not necessarily like super fun, but it's good. Like, we, every week we have a McDonald's run for breakfast, or we have a Starbucks run for breakfast. I enjoy that. But I enjoy, one of the things I do enjoy that we can do is like, we'll run up to Cheyenne, 45-minute drive, and we'll go to Menards, which is like a Lowe's, Home Depot style store. And then we'll go get a really good steak, because they have a really good steak there in Cheyenne, that kind of thing. But it's not necessarily fully my definition of fun. I always say, well, that was enjoyable. That was good, But so I think, And that's part of it. I just want to say this real quick. Like, your spouse isn't meant to fulfill every part of you. That's why I have friends, right? Like, because he's different enough and his sense of fun is very different than mine. I don't expect him to do the things that I find fun. Now, if he wants to join me, great. And on occasion, we'll go do something that I think is fun. But it is different. And I just think it's important to understand that Seth isn't there to fulfill my every need and whim. God is. And then he's created all these human beings for me to have this wide variety to choose from of things to go to do to have fun. So I just don't expect, I expect my time with Seth to be good, to be enjoyable, to be relaxing, to be all those things. But I don't necessarily look at what we can do that will be super fun. Our fun is just, it's not so much fun. It's more just good. I don't know if that makes sense. And I just don't expect every marriage to have fun. I mean, ideally, yeah, that'd be great. But that just isn't the way it always works based on the personalities involved. And so,
yeah, I think that makes sense. And I think that for you in particular, fun is such a key and important part of your life that it's almost like you have different definitions of fun. So like you're saying, things that you enjoy and things that are fun are two different things, whereas maybe for some people that's not the case.
yeah.
So I think it's, because fun kind of is this really central and primary role for you.
Yes.
It plays out a little bit differently in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys, you both still make an effort to do things with each other that you both enjoy.
Yes.
And you're able to do that.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How about, how do you continue to have fun with each other after 36 years of marriage?
It's not even, I mean, that's a fabulous question. After 36 years of marriage, how do we keep having fun? The challenge question is that we see fun different. That's the more challenging point. It's not so much that it's difficult, because honestly, one of the beautiful things about being married 36 years is, the kids are grown. There's so much of those early years and the role. Now we're still parents and now we have grandkids, which we're blessed to feed into and so forth. But we have a little more time on our hands. Our financial situation's better. So as far as finding fun things, in some ways, I think it's almost easier now.
Okay.
Not because maybe that complicates it for some people, but after 36 years, there's circumstances that make it probably a little bit easier. But we've always had this thing of what I'll say, oh, that was fun. And her response will be, what was fun about that? And then there's things she thinks are fun that I'm like, don't get it.
Yep.
So that has never changed, and I doubt ever will.
Okay.
So
but you put in the effort. How do you?
So with that point, there's two sides. You do put in the effort. First of all, you discover what things that you do both enjoy.
Okay.
Right. And so you maximize those things. Oddly enough, my answer to your question is going to include also that some of those things that I find fun that she doesn't, I just go do myself or with other people, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And that's good for us, right? Because it scratches that itch in us and therefore isn't a problem then between us, right? The other thing is just being willing now and again to, go do those things. Here's a great example. And it really was. This is big, good, awkward conversation stuff, because she told me one day, okay, listen, we're going to go with this other couple and we're going to go do this fun. She's so excited, right? We're going to go do this event. We're going to go to this place where they help you make a piece of pottery, and you're going to sit there and you're going to do this pottery, and it's going to be great. And I'm thinking, wow, really? For real? But you know what I didn't do is I didn't show that. I was in that moment. I was like, okay, I'm going to be open-minded here. You know what happened? I was horrible at it. I mean, in that the instructor finally had to actually finish mine for me, but I enjoyed it. Do I want to go do it again? Yeah, not particularly, but I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I remember that. And so there is that element. And I know she's done that for me too.
Yeah.
So there is that element of going, okay, they're going to find this fun, so we'll go do it. She mentioned something the other day she wants to go do, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna build some enthusiasm, and we're gonna do that. And I'll enjoy it.
Okay. Yep.
Will it be fun? Yeah.
All right. Last question. So this one specifically, as a woman, as a wife, what is the best part of that role as opposed to if you had just remained single your whole life?
Interesting. I was actually talking to somebody the other day about this, that feeling of, because I am super independent, I've always been like, I could be happy alone, single. But I do think as a woman and as a wife, and part of this I think is an age thing, but as I get older, I do find it really great to have somebody to be alongside me, to be a partner, which is great. So can you maybe repeat the question?
Let me rephrase.
Okay.
What would you miss the most if you had not been married all these years?
Okay. If I had not been married all these years, I would miss probably growth. Like I've become a very well-rounded, not physically, a little bit physically. I've become very well-rounded in the sense of the growth that I've experienced, because when you live with somebody we just celebrated 36 years. When you live with somebody for 36 years, like it forces growth. I would miss that. I would miss the partnership of like when I need to talk about things, or when I'm frustrated with things or that kind of thing. I would miss that partnership of just a companion. And of course I would miss having had kids. So yeah, I think that's what I would miss, is just the companionship, the partnership, and the growth of who I've become. And I would miss being able to, I'm not a wife or a woman who thinks, you should train your man, change him, blah, blah, blah. But I am a person who is always pushing people to grow and improve. Like that's my natural, like, why wouldn't you want to change? Why wouldn't you want to grow? I don't comprehend that. And there are a few people like that I know who are very like, just super content where they're at, don't need to grow, don't need to, and I'm just like, what? So I enjoy giving encouragement to my husband to grow, and I think I do it fairly healthily. I enjoy being able to encourage him to grow, being that adversarial advocate, pushing on those things sometimes that I think he might settle into, that I'm like, is that the best way to think about things? Is that the healthiest? So yeah, but like I said, I do that with friends as well. So I don't know that I would have missed that, because I still would have done it, but it is different with a spouse. But yeah, I think those are the things I would say I would have missed had I not gotten married.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing. Thanks for answering all those questions.
Sure.
All right. Final question.
Yeah.
Let's do something from your perspective as a man, as the husband. What is the best part about serving that role? Like, as opposed to if you were, a grown man who'd lived your life, but you had been single. As opposed to that, what is kind of the best part of, having lived your life instead with someone else?
Yeah. This isn't a hard one to answer. My slowing down and thinking was there's actually quite a number of things I could say, but I would say, wow, and I hope any friends that I have that are single don't take offense here, but most men that I know that have either never been married, or maybe they were married and it blew up real quick, and so they've spent their lives mostly as a single man.
Yeah.
I would have to tie into this a little bit. Then maybe they're not a parent either. They don't have much balance in their life. They've been given the opportunity to be pretty self-centered.
Sure.
And self-focused. So maybe I shouldn't have even said that, because I don't want to be offensive to people. But the other way to say that would be, I feel like that as a husband, as a man, and can I add in as a father?
Sure. Yep.
because those roles tie together. I definitely see I'm much less selfish. I'm much more balanced. I have been exposed to things because of my role as a husband and a father that I would never have experienced. Things like, until you've had children, it's even hard to describe the love that comes out when this, I heard it said this way. We were watching a TV show last night, and the comment was made, it's weird that we made these people, right? So as parents, you make these people. And it's true in so many ways. And the depth and the love of that is, you just never, you're not going to experience that otherwise. And it brings such satisfaction and challenge, but depth and meaning. It's really very, very rich.
Sure.
So
yeah,
I say to Saundra all the time, I have so much more fun in my life because of you. Yeah, we had a weekend together just recently that I thought, man, I had so much fun. And if I'd been here by myself, it would not have been this much fun, right? And it's just because there's such life that comes out in two people together that just doesn't show up in one selfish soul individual.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hey, welcome back. This is just a quick thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and ringing the bell, spreading the word for us, being a part of this together with us. We know those of you who are watching are pretty consistent watchers, and we are grateful for that. So also share what you are seeing with others, with friends, etc. And we would also invite you to send us topics that you would like to hear us converse about. They can be anything, and we will take a shot at it.